UFC 300 just wrapped up, and boy, did it deliver. An absolute spectacle of a night that saw all types of crazy finishes and fights that had us all longing for more. From Alex Pereira's intelligent knockout of Jamal Hill, a moment that proved me and many other analysts wrong, to the gritty performance of Zhang Weili that opened up a few chinks in the armor for the champion. However, despite all the crazy fights that happened in this one card, one fight stood out well above the others. A fight between two well-known titans, throwing it all on the line for this. What is this? What is the BMF title? To the critical eye, it may just seem like something the UFC made up so they could sell more pay-per-views. For Islam Makhachev, the BMF title is just for bums. But the BMF title serves a purpose beyond just mere marketing. It's a celebration of the fighters who embody the essence of toughness, resilience, and a willingness to engage in fun and thrilling battles. And at UFC 300, Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje did just that. They left it all in the octagon, in a fight that saw both fighters get hurt bad at some points. Holloway getting knocked down for the first time in his career, although not statistically. And to top it all off, we got one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history. So let's talk about it. In this video, we're going to break down the stats and fight between Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, and find out what happened. Rather than waiting out his well-deserved undisputed title shot at 155 pounds, Justin Gaethje chose to be true to the BMF title, and accepted a fight against a former featherweight champion in Max Holloway. But unlike the wars he's been in for the past few years that saw him knock out multiple fighters in some of the most violent ways possible, in this fight, he faced quite a challenge. Justin Gaethje was fighting a lot differently than in previous fights, but not in the typical sense. Let me explain. While his strike distribution for his fight against Max appeared typical of a Gaethje fight, with a significant emphasis on head strikes and effective leg kicks, his head strike accuracy was notably lower than previous fights, landing at a 36% rate to the head rather than his typical 50%, a 14 percentage point drop, marking this night as his least accurate when it comes to head strikes in his entire career in the UFC. But it wasn't just Gaethje's accuracy that suffered in this fight. His strike output was also notably lower than what fans come to expect from him. In fact, this fight marked the lowest strikes landed per minute in any of his fights in UFC history. The man renowned for his 5-round cardio and unyielding resilience found himself unable to summon that same ferocity against Max Holloway. But why? The answer lies in a single moment that would come to define the trajectory of the entire fight. A moment that unfolded at the end of the first round. Max's spinning back kick, a technique often used to create distance in his fights, capitalized on a subtle but critical flaw in Gaethje's approach. Gaethje has a habit of dipping or rolling his head whenever he tries to go in for a blitz that leaves him vulnerable to uppercuts or knees. At first, this kick seemed to just land to Gaethje's chest, which, although it hurts a lot, would have been something Gaethje would recover from in the break between rounds. But this kick wasn't just some ordinary significant strike to the body. This kick actually connected to Gaethje's head first because of his roll, and, in turn, shattered his nose. So with 4 rounds to go, and at the break of the first round, Gaethje had 2 options. Option 1. Justin Gaethje tries to blow his nose, clear out his nostrils, risk a fate like Cowboy against Tony Ferguson, and the fight is ruled a TKO. Or option 2. Endure the discomfort of breathing through the mouth, opting for a slower paced but resilient approach to the fight. And for the sake and pleasure of the fight fans, the BMF incumbent chose the latter, refusing to let this adversity dictate the course of his destiny. You have to be in awe of Justin Gaethje's heart, but unfortunately, it did come with its own set of consequences. Because not only did Justin Gaethje endure his worst offensive performance in his UFC career, but defensively, he faltered as well, only landing second to his fight against Charles Oliveira. continuously eating clean uppercuts, counter shots, and even at one point looked like Calvin Kattar against Max Holloway. Okay, we get it. Gaethje's nose was broken by some free kick by Max, which didn't allow him to go all in with his savagery, or even be the most offensively sound. But is it really safe to say that this was the whole reason why he was losing? Because although Gaethje seemed off, Max Holloway was having an amazing performance at UFC 300. Unlike his fights before that averaged to your typical UFC boxer, in this fight, Max Holloway was keeping Justin Gaethje guessing by using all parts of his body to tango. Looking at his strike distribution for his fight against Gaethje, we see a very different Max Holloway, an adapted Max that took a much more balanced approach. Not only did we see his crosses to the head and body, but most surprisingly is that we saw him capitalize on some of Gaethje's weaknesses by using his uppercuts and spinning kicks. His unique addition of the leg kicks to maintain his distance also contributed to Gaethje's slow strike output. Yet perhaps more impressive than his varied style was Holloway's strike accuracy, landing his strikes at a whopping 58% efficiency. It was one of the most accurate performances we've ever seen him in, only falling short to a few notable fights, and some others near the start of his career. However, this offensive prowess came at a cost, as Holloway also endured one of his worst defensive performances to date. Despite Holloway's offensive onslaught on Gaethje, he still remained quite a challenge, landing strikes more efficiently than many of Max Holloway's previous opponents, a testament to Gaethje's skill and resilience, especially in the face of adversity. As the fifth round of the epic battle between Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje drew to a close, Holloway found himself clearly ahead on the scorecards. Yet rather than coasting to victory, he chose to risk it all by engaging toe-to-toe with one of the most dangerous strikers in the UFC, which ultimately culminated in one of the greatest knockouts of all time, defeating not just one of the most feared men in the lightweight division, but also defeating this notion that he once had pillow hands. However, nothing can compare Max Holloway's 10-second risk at the end of the fifth to the whole 3-month risk that Justin Gaethje took when he first accepted this fight. You have to feel bad for the guy. He's long awaited to become undisputed champion and took this BMF title fight with no real benefit to him. And at 35 years old, his chances are starting to crawl away from him. Rest up, Justin Gaethje, and know that many of us are still rooting for you to come back and challenge for that title. And as for Max Holloway, welcome to the new world of possibilities. If you want to know more about Max Holloway and his significant strike record, there will be a link in the description, or something should pop up now. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe, like or share the video, and leave a comment down below for discussion. And please be respectful in the comment section. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.